In a decisive move toward energy independence and climate resilience, Grenada is solidifying its place at the forefront of the Caribbean's renewable energy movement through a new partnership with the International Solar Alliance, the ISA, and the relaunch of its flagship solar projects, even as the island rebuilds after devastating hurricane losses. Grenada's commitment to sustainable energy has entered a new chapter, marked by the recent signing of a country partnership framework with the International Solar Alliance, the ISA. The agreement signals a strategic turning point in the nation's drive for clean energy and climate adaptation, promising tangible benefits for the country's most vulnerable communities. A high-level ISA mission is set to visit Grenada, working alongside government officials to identify priority areas for solar investment and co-develop regulatory, financial, and technical strategies. The partnership aims to expand access to affordable, reliable energy through initiatives like the Solar for All project, which is targeting relief for energy marginalized households and small businesses across Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Minister Kieran James, who leads the Ministry of Climate Resilience, Environment, and Renewable Energy, describes energy as the lifeblood of Grenada's development. She emphasizes that the government's vision is for the energy to remain a public good accessible to all and supported by both national funds and international climate finance.
It is about families, it is about workers, ordinary men and women, it is about the elderly, it is about our youth and communities who feel the weight of every rising bill and every climate threat. Solar for All is not simply an energy project, but as Prime Minister stated when he spoke of the climate crisis as a need for climate justice, it is a justice project, it is a dignity project, and it is a development project. It is our national declaration that the clean energy future must not be confined to those who can afford it, but must be accessible to those who need it most.
Grenada's recent experience with the Limlair Solar PV hybrid project demonstrates both the promise and the challenges of the country's renewable transition. The plant, one of Grenada's first utility-scale solar facilities, was nearly complete when Hurricane Beryl struck in July of 2024, destroying 80% of its solar modules and causing extensive infrastructure damage. Reconstruction began in August with support from the United Arab Emirates via the Caribbean Sustainable Energy Fund, and the project is being re-engineered for greater resilience. Director of Renewable Energy, Leslie Smith, explained that the lessons from Beryl are shaping Grenada's approach to future projects. Salvaged modules from the hurricane-damaged plant will be repurposed as part of the new Solar for All initiative, ensuring that even setbacks contribute to expanded energy access for vulnerable residents.
So it's a whole new procurement process that is taking place. And now, because we are building back with greater resilience, with modules that are stronger, it's going to take a little longer for the manufacturers to build to this specification. But what is very instructive is that the Rocky Mountain Institute did a study which they call the Solar Under the Storm Part 3, which focused heavily on Carriacou and Petit Martinique and also on St. Vincent. And they provided some recommendations as to how we should build back with greater resilience. So all that have been integrated now into the redesign and the restructuring of the project, and now we are building back with much greater resilience to withstand Category 5 hurricanes. So a number of things are going to be done differently for this resilience that I'm speaking about. So one, we are going to be using modules now that have greater uplift pressure, that can withstand up to 600 kilopascals on the upper surface and 5,000 kilopascals on the lower surface. So it's going to be much stronger modules to start with. We are going to do the clamps that were used to hold the panels in place will be completely different. No clamps will be used, but instead the modules will be bolted onto the frame. The frames that were used were just not strong enough. They are going to be completely replaced as well. The good thing is that the posts, the pillars, the uprights that were used were very strong and in place, and we're going to reuse them. The BESS, or the battery energy storage system, has been in place and has been commissioned and is working as we speak. The inverters are still good, so we're going to use them. And then we're going to build back stronger fencing. We're going to do a complete resurfacing of the plant with geotextile material to allow drainage and to prevent the erosion and so that we had. And these are some of the factors or measures that we are taking to build back a much more resilient facility in Carriacou. In terms of how do we recycle or dispose of the materials, the debris, the good news is that one, we have two sets of debris. We have the metal debris and we also have the modules, the PV panels. The Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority now has a facility that can crush the glass, and so we've packed a container full or filled with these modules that is now at the Perseverance site where the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority will do that. The steel work, the steel frames and so on have been also collected by the Solid Waste Management Authority for export and for recycling and reuse. So that has been responsibly disposed of. The good modules, however, that we were able to salvage, which is about 300 in total, we are going to use that now as part of the Solar for All project, so that the people in Carriacou and Petimat, they can get solar PV for their households from that. Because as I mentioned earlier, completely new modules would be used for the reconstruction of the plant. We had some targets or timelines in mind for completion of the reconstruction. Unfortunately, we've had to shift those because of supply chain issues with the new modules. They have to be manufactured. And now we're hearing from the manufacturers that manufacturing will actually start in January. So initially, we were hoping that we could have completed by the end of December. So we're now looking at the latter part of the first quarter in 2026 or the earlier part of the second quarter in 2026 when the plant should be commissioned again and providing power to Carriacou.
Grenada's leadership in clean energy dates back to 2016, with the Renewable Energy for Rural Development project providing solar power to dozens of rural and vulnerable households. The new ISA partnership and resilience upgrades to solar infrastructure position Grenada as a Caribbean model for climate adaptation and sustainability. As the nation moves forward, officials remain committed to ensuring that climate resilience is not merely a policy objective, but a lived reality for all Grenadians, where sustainability, opportunity, and energy security underpin the country's future. I am Cherry and Blackman Stephen for GBN News.